Hi guys, it's Karen Galway here. We're going to talk about it's not you, it's their filters. And so I want to talk to you about if you ever feel like if you're ever in a situation where someone gets upset with you or says something and then you are just feeling like awful that maybe you've put them in that situation and start second guessing about what you did. Like maybe I shouldn't have said that, I should have done that, like why, and start kind of going into that ruminating process of like just constantly thinking about it and over analyzing the situation, and then you just feel awful for like the next day or for the rest of the day and maybe into the next day. And what I want to do is shed some light on this. And so the thing that I've discovered, well, actually, I am someone used to be, not as much anymore, but used to be really affected by that because as a child, I've had some experiences with like just some abandonment issues as a child. And so anything that might be related to like me not being good enough, me not, in a situation where I did something that might hurt someone, where someone might think awful of me, just kind of would send me into like that ruminating process of like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And what, I shouldn't have said that. And during my healing process, what I've discovered is that we respond and we react based on our filter, okay? And by filter, what I mean is we have limited beliefs, and we have talked about this before in other videos. We have limited beliefs based on our upbringing and just kind of we come into this world with a clean slate, and then just based on conversations we've heard and, things we've read or watched, or it helps us shape our outlook on the world. And so our filter. And so what ends up happening is that you might say something to someone that might be triggering to the other person because of the filter of how they're looking at life. And I'll give you a perfect example. This was so recent. And so last week, it was not even a week ago, I was going to grab some sushi. I had already placed the order beforehand, and I was about to pull up into a parking spot, and it was like a bit of like a parking, it was like parallel parking on the street. It was a bit of a parking fiasco, and kind of it got bottlenecked for a little bit, but there were two parking spots that were available. I pulled into one and backed up. And there was the car behind me had left. So I backed up as far as I felt like was necessary to leave space for anyone else who wanted to come behind me. And then the other car came backed up in front of me. And as I got out of the car, he said, he yelled at me for not giving him enough parking space and yelled an obscene word at me. And I turned around and said, "You have plenty of parking space," and for him to watch his mouth. And then he yelled another obscene word to me. And we were both actually going into the same sushi restaurant to pick up our order, which was like really uncomfortable. And the entire time I was like, just like fuming of like, and not that I felt like I did anything wrong. Like I felt like I handled it really well, but like I wanted to like keep approaching it with him, which I didn't. But in that situation of he like might have been feeling that he like in life might feel like he isn't treated fairly, or might feel like things are he has to work extra hard for. He had his car was like a beat up car. I think the side mirror was broken. It wasn't a well taken care of car. And then a lot of times in my experience, that is often related to mindset as too, which we'll go into another video on. But like if you have a negative mindset, that will show up in your life and things attract to that low vibe. So like a broken car that doesn't function very well, that has like a side mirror is about to fall off, is a low vibe energy. And so I was able to look at it like he probably feels like I owed it to him to have like a bigger space. By the way, he had 2 feet. I can't 2 feet behind him. Like he had plenty of room. And so in these situations, I mean, it happens a lot of the time where like people will see something, you might do something, and in their mind it's this filter of, why did that person say that? Like that's, and then get upset over it. And it's through their filter. So what I want to share with you is when you're in a situation that that happens where someone says something and you're like, oh my gosh, like why did I say that? I want you to stop, and I want you to realize that that person is looking through their filter and they're being triggered. Okay. But I also want you, because you feeling this way, you feeling like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? That's a trigger for you too. And so I want you to step back and recognize why you might be triggering. Why is that pulling on? What filter are you viewing that? When you go through your healing journey, the healing journey is messy, you guys. The healing journey is like, it is up and down. One day is great, next day is low. It is not linear. It's all over the place. But when you get to a point in your healing journey where you've kind of developed that self-awareness and developed that recognition of you have triggers, that you're able to kind of look at them and pull them apart, these things aren't going to bother you as much. And so when they do, it's usually because it's triggering at you. And being triggered is okay. But we're supposed to be triggered. It's all part of the healing process, right? Like, it's all part of us kind of like peeling back those layers and peeling away those limited beliefs and realizing our infinite potential. It is recognizing that we have this inner power. And so, but to be able to get there, you have to pull these layers back, and you don't know what layers to put back until they're put in front of your face to look at. And that's what those triggers are. And I personally believe that people are put in your path to help with your healing process. And sometimes that might mean being triggered. If, of course, you're constantly being triggered by someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to constantly put yourself in that situation. It might mean that you need to set boundaries. It might mean that like that person is maybe not someone that you want in your circle, but it also might mean that you need to kind of look at that and not necessarily continue to be present in that person's life, or a friend that, you know, who's showing up for you in that manner, but like recognizing that there's a trigger you need to work on, and then just kind of transmuting that energy. And so when you harbor on those feelings of when you harbor on those feelings, when you, like someone is saying something to you and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why did I even say that? I shouldn't have said that. When you're harboring on those emotions, that's a low vibe. That's a low negative vibe. And so what you want to do is kind of send it out and transmute it. And so one of the ways you can do that is send them love, like in your mind, be like, I'm going to just send them love. And like they help them, they'll like figure out their triggers and like recognize their filter and leave it at that. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. Just know that the healing, like I said, the healing process is messy, and it's supposed to be messy. But on the other end of that is just amazing freedom, like what I call mind freedom. It is just to be in a place of just being so aligned that things don't even pull you either way. So, all right, I hope you have a great day, and I'm looking forward to sharing some more thoughts with you in the future. Bye.